I will always say this when it comes to property. Investigate before you invest. Okay? Investigate before you invest when it comes to property. So this is one first document you need to check with your municipality. Because the municipality, the land management office or town planning, they can tell you if the person who is selling the land belongs to him or her. Though they won't give you a printed information, but they can confirm if the one selling the land owns it or not. There have been so many situations where people, they buy land and start to build and spend money only to find that they are building on a land that doesn't belong to somebody who sold them. And then you see izindlu's demolishwa because of that problem. So before you invest in property development, investigate. So the title deed will determine who owns the land, who owns the property. That is the first point. And you need to know how the title deed looks. And you can also go to these wind deed and all other online sectors that can give you that information. Okay, that's the first step. Number two, when it comes to property and you want to develop, you need to know the zoning certificate. So when you talk about zoning, it actually clearly stipulates what can be done in that property. Is it a commercial property or a residential property? So if you want to build a B&B and you are just buying a residential property, you will need to apply for rezoning. You want to do salon, burglary store, tavern, apply for rezoning. The community and the neighborhood will be notified. They will need to accept your proposal or not before the municipality approves. You don't just change a residential property to commercial on your own. You follow the rules. Then the third thing you need to understand when it comes to property and land ownership is what we called the conditions of the title. So when it comes to zone certificate, it stipulates do you have a permitted height, 2 stories, building line, side space, rear space, so that you don't build closer to the boundaries that are not yours. You understand that one? When uthi property yami manje ngifuna ukuthi nje nginabe ngifake ipool lapha. You can't put that pool without municipality approval. You can't put a carport without municipality approval. But when I know it's a temporary structure, it's just a carport, like an umbrella. You must be approved to do that. And then the next thing that you also need to check is what we call the conditions of the title. Okay? What we call the conditions of what? Of the title. The title stipulates that, I'm making an example, the owner of the lot shall, without compensation, be obliged to permit the erection, laying, and maintenance of electric wires and water supply over or under or along any boundary thereof within your property. So that is why sometimes you buy a property that has what? A servitude, where maybe there's a municipality water going through your yard. Then when you extend without permission, you find that a stamkopko erupt inside your house because that extension was not approved. So these are most important things you need to follow when you are building, owning. Don't buy without checking the conditions of the title, because you buy not knowing that what you are aiming to do will not be permitted. Are we together on that part? Follow that, then you'll be fine. That is one part of property I wanted to remind you about. Number two, a mistake that people made when they are buying from auction. So, here I'm just making an example. These are repossessed properties. So as agents, amabhenki asendela the kind of information yabona. So if you look at these properties, it says this one for 250,000 in Gauteng Orange Farm is occupied by the ex-owner. So this one, the owner must agree before you even buy that, is notified, is serving notice, will exit. But something like this, you see this one, 1.2 million property in Hyde Park is occupied by illegal occupants. And it will be your duty to go to court and apply for an eviction process. If they also go to court to defend themselves, then it's going to be like a long-term fight. Because before the court grant you the eviction, the court will ask you, do you have an alternative place for them? So when you are buying from auction, make sure that as much as it might be cheaper, but if it says occupation guaranteed, you will be fine. Okay? You will be fine. Occupation guaranteed. This one, it says alarm. It's a 400,330 Emma Gate. It says alarm. So it means there's no one staying there. The other one, it says no alarm needed because there are security guards. It's in the complex. So these are the things you need to be checking before you consider buying property on auction. Because you may see it cheaper, but only to find that you cannot occupy it. But the municipality will need you to pay rates and all those sort of things. So that is another lesson we are covering today. All right, while on that part, I'll come back to this. This is called amortization spreadsheet. So if you are paying your bond and you are separating, let's say your bond is 10,000 per month, you're supposed to pay 10,000 per month, but you decide to pay 10,000 on the 5,000 on the 15, and another 5,000 month end, because you have a flexibility to do that. The problem is you listen to me on my 5-minute video, you rush to the bank without consulting any property personnel who can assist you with the proposal. The bank will want a proposal. You get my point? So, let me tell you, this is one of my clients. This is an amortization spreadsheet from FNB. So my client was paying 7.2 every end of the month, but she proposed to pay 3.6 on the 15 and another 3.6 by the month end. I want us to calculate here to see on the spreadsheet. When it comes to property, remember that interest is added daily. That is why for a property of 800,000, you are charged 1.2 million interest in 20 years. Because interest is added daily. And for the first 12 years, you are more like paying interest. More money goes towards what? Interest. But on your year number 8, you have paid the price for the property. The initial price on year number 8 is done. All these other 12 years, you are paying interest. All right. So here, my client daily interest added is 192,000. And then she paid on the 15, 3.6 on the 15. The next day, interest rate, daily interest, it dropped to 191. You see, that 1 rand makes a difference because it is added daily. And then on the 25th, she paid another 3.6. Thereafter, the interest dropped from 191 to 185. So now it is 185 added till the month end. You see, by virtue of having at least 50% upfront. But the banks don't just agree on that, because as the interest is now minimal, they are losing some money. But you need to come with a strategy. Like, I am actually receiving some extra money on this day, so I would like to capitalize it. It is things like that that they accept. But those that are adding extra, because there's another part I want to touch. You may be paying 6,000 on your bond, but you choose to add 1,000 to be 7,000. If you are paying extra on your bond, but you are not instructing to the bank what to do with the extra, they will put it aside. When you go to your app, you can see it. It's on the savings, excess savings. Until you tell them what to do with the extra money. Because you put extra, they take what they need, they put this other one aside. I was sitting with a client who has paid for 3 years extra, but that money is not capitalized. That is the issue. Until you instruct the bank to actually put it, because whatsoever you add that is extra, it will always make a strong difference. Are we together on that one? So if you have a 900,000 property and you pay extra of like 200 rand on your 900,000, it means you will save 51,000 that you would have paid on interest, and you reduce your loan term by 7 months. On your 900,000 bond, you choose to add 500 per month on top. It means you may reduce your loan term by 1 year, 6 months, and you save 118,000. If there was no deposit, okay? If there is a deposit, let's say it's 900,000 property, deposit is 90,000, bond repayments will be how much? 800. So let's come back to this now. Let's say you are adding nothing. This property is how much? 900,000. Your total interest will be 1.3 million in 20 years. For a property that costs how much? 810, because you have a 90,000 deposit. So it's 810. After 20 years, the interest is 1.2 million. The total amount you pay is 2.1 million after 20 years. So that means you've bought a property for yourself and 1.5 for the bank. Now I'm asking myself, if you are able to pay off a car that cost you 800,000 in 6 years, what is stopping you from doing additional payment to pay your car off very quick and fast? So let's say now you are adding 500 here. You will reduce your loan term by 269,000. That's what you will save. And then you will pay off your property in 16 years, 6 months. But because, my brother, you look like you can add 1,000 more. Meaning that on a 900,000 property, you will save like 434,000. And you reduce your loan term by 5 years, 9 months. Then in terms of interest, it's 800,000 instead of 1.3 million. 2,000. If you put 2,000 more, you will reduce your loan term by 8 years, 7 months. You will save 634,000. Instead of paying 1.3 million interest, you will pay 600,000 interest. If you double the installment, I've been waiting for that question. You understand? And it coming from less side, actually, if you double the installment, it means you pay your property in 5 years, 2 months. Okay, let me put exactly double. What does that mean? It means your spouse can be paying same and you pay the same, because aggressively you are taking this. Look, this is you are doubling your payments. It means you will pay off your property in 5 years and 2 months. And how much you save? more than a million. Total interest added is 272,000 instead of 1.3 million. And this is an excess facility. It means all the monies you've been adding, you can also withdraw because it's an excess facility. So let's say you've been adding aggressively. Now you have 300,000 that you can withdraw. And there's Kawini, there's a property or a land that you can buy for that 300,000. You can withdraw that 300,000 from your excess bond. Go buy that property cash. And that when that property is giving you rentals, then you take those rentals after paying levies or, rates, put it here as additionals. After there's enough money, you can also withdraw. You withdraw and buy a third property. So now you have 3 properties, 1 bond. And all these 2 more are for rentals. And after cost, you also add additionals from those rentals until it accumulates on your excess to a position where you also have what? Enough to withdraw, maybe to buy another apartment. Then you continue the process. By year number 20, you can end up having 10 properties, 1 bond. You know how to manage the bond, how to play with your money in a right way. But all I'm telling you is one thing that the banks are not interested in terms of you knowing. One lady called the bank and said, I'm going to retirement now. I want to settle my bond. She had like 300,000 left, 300 or 270, yes. And then the guy responding said, you know what? Don't settle because we will charge you 200,000 more that we were supposed to get. I said, no, he's lying. Let's call again. Tell them that I'm here with my financial advisor, so this is what I want to verify. They said, if you want to settle, it was like 2,000 additionally that she would have to pay. Not these 200,000 even more, because they are just giving you wrong information so that you say, oh, I'll just stay for 20 years. But in that 20 years, if you are flexible enough, you can end that 20 years with more than 1 property if you know how to play things. And let me tell you, as I always encourage people to add more on their properties, during COVID, some were facing a loss of income. But because they have an excess, they were able to do what? To withdraw. The money withdrawn was also the money that will be able to assist them to pay their monthly bond. Yeah. After things turn and become fine, then you go back to the similar situation. That's one of the things that are important. And last part, in terms of property, you can also negotiate your interest rate. People were saying, Sboniso, is it true that banks are charging black people higher interest than whites? The question is not it true or false? It happens. I must be diplomatic about this. It happens. They say you are high risk because you stay in your township. So that is why the interest, they can justify. But this is the current system we are living in. You need to negotiate your interest rate. Because if you have, the current interest rate is 11.75, am I right? And if they are charging you higher, negotiate. How do you negotiate? If you are banking with the bank red, so you are banking with the bank red, go to the bank green and ask them how much interest rate they can give you if you transfer your bond to them. If they say, we can give you 11% instead of 11.75, ask them to respond in writing. As they respond in writing, go with the same letter to your bank and say, these people are giving me a better rate than you. And they said to me, if I get transferred to them, they can even waive the transfer costs. What do you say? When they think that your deal, your property can give them 1.2 million, they will give you a better rate than this one. Then you stay with a better rate. Are we together on that one? When you just give them a phone call, it goes through the call center, and then the call center lady or guy said, no, it can't happen. Then you say, okay, amen. Then you go like that. When you call, you know why they make these property people to be difficult to get a bank? Whenever you come with some queries, they give you a telephone by the corner there. Then you go, you talk over the phone and stuff. And you think that person is not in that particular bank. They are there. Let me tell you, they are there. They don't want to speak to you. You are just a special client that must pay 20 years. But if you come to the same bank and say, can I speak to a consultant? I want to buy property. Then they will call someone to come downstairs to assist you. Then you said, take all the information. They will give you their business card with email address and a mobile number and all the details. Then you change the language. Say, now ngantola, nginibhaqile. This is the issue I have. I've been wanting to talk to you. They give me the number. They put me through the call center. Someone who is totally ignorant. Because you know this bank call center thing. You speak someone today, they say one thing. Tomorrow is someone say totally different. So it's like they play you. You end up confused and you give up. You don't follow through. So those are the things you need to be aggressive about. Because this is big money you pay. And if you can cut on that and benefit even more, you can do so. Are we together on that one? So that and more, if utenga USB, I cover more. USB, there are proposals. It comes according to if you wanted to change anything, this is how you draft a letter. If you wanted to separate the OHC insurance from being deducted altogether because it makes your bond to be expensive, this is how you write to them. If you wanted to separate the way you pay, this is why you write. If you want to change from stop order to debit order, this is how you propose. If you want to change from debit order to EFT, this is how you approach. But all that information is in that particular training. So please get it and then be empowered for that matter. So if that is clear and straightforward, then I hope you are covered. Are we together on that one? Ngingaphuza kwisiphuzo sami. Yebo. And then, when it comes to real estate investment trust, lana usungabhala nje iwebsite, sesobe sesiyashutha ke nalabo abanezincwadi nabanama USB. Ama questions ngizowathatha kulaba nje abanezincwadi nama USB kuphela. Lalelani. It's business decision, it's not personal. Guess what? It's business. So, nawe ngelinye ilanga ngoba Nkosi yami khona omunye umuntu le information ngiyayifuna but okwanamhlanje ngibroke kulungileke ayikho into engizokuzwela ngayo angimzweli umuntu obroke ngiyamfundisa nje kuphela ukuthi abe right kuyezwakala phumane ekufuneni ukuzwelwa sebenzani indaba yemali through ini ulwazi ngiyayazi. This is property. I'm making one example. This is a Fortress B. Fortress B usabiza 16 rand ukhule nini? Agcina 4 rand. Hey imali khona. All right. Masikhuluma ama real estate investment trust. Sikhuluma it's more like ama shares atholakala kwi property. Yabona mawungena emall. Yabo inkwazi isebhayini ingaphansi kwa Fortress. Fanele ukuthi mawungena emall nestep ongena ngaso siyakhombisa ukuthi kungena ishareholder. Kuyezwakala? Yabona noma uwalker ubuze nakona ogada ukuthi imall yethu nisayiqaphile kahle yonke into. bazokuphoxa kodwa okusalayo unawo amashares e12 akhona. Buka la ungitshela ukuthi njengoba lama shares abiza boma awoba ma12 wena ungena kanjani emall ungenawo? Uzushiya imali impela. Asiqale la kwi retail ngoba it's month end niyahamba niyothenga. Buka lana ke buka la. Amazwe indawo eningi kobohlokwa Dzanini South Africa yonke. Upper Crossing, Karelia, wabomanzi umtoti Bloemfontein, Fourways, Polokwane, Musina, it's a lot. But ngifuna ukuthi sibheke ukuthi malini ukubenefita from all this. Ngoba Newcastle niyababona Newcastle, Village Walk, abaqulusi Plaza, Lebo wa Home, Biela Shopping Center, Boxer Center, kuningi yona le yeBiela, Makhado, Limpopo, it's a lot. But how much do you own it from? Because this is an entry level in terms of property ownership. This is an entry level. But okugcina ke nkanyiso ngiyabonga because sengikhohle